Greetings, friends of HU245 Ethics here at Kaplan University. My name is Dr. Rebecca Lee McCarthy, and today I'm going to give you a quick overview of the assignment that is due for Unit 2. This week we are looking at the theories of morality. We have been looking at a variety of different types of morality. We are looking at specifically consequential and non-consequential ethics, as well as virtue ethics, kind of three broad categories, if you will. This week, in order to help us throughout the whole term, because we're doing applied ethics, that means we are applying these concepts, these ideas between consequential, non-consequential, and virtue ethic theories to different situations, so we can see how different modes of reasoning, of ethical reasoning, may impact our decision-making processes. Okay, so what we need is a good, if you will, chart of all the theories that we're going to be applying over and over and over again, what they mean, who developed them, what do they fall under, are they consequential reasoning, is it non-consequential reasoning, and so on and so forth. So this week you're going to be doing probably one of the most important assignments in the class. It's going to take some time, and a matter of fact, this video is going to be posted for you under Unit 1 as well, because it's going to be a little time consuming, so I'm warning you now. Let's look at the assignment real quick, shall we? So basically you're going to be asked to look at the different theories and answer these questions. How is good determined under this theory? Who are the most noted philosophers with this theory? What are the theory's major strengths? And what are the theory's major weaknesses? Now, we have for you a template to fill out that you can get there, and you can also find it in the document sharing area. And you can use this template, or if you want, you can just use a regular sheet with information. Like if you want to use an outline form, you're welcome to do that. As a matter of fact, I will make sure that I make an outline form template for you and that it is available in the doc sharing area. Or you can use this. The problem with this is that you're not going to be able to get a lot of information in, and the more information you have for this kind of comparison process, the easier life is going to be for you as you go through this class. And I think it's very helpful to have good information about each of these theories right at your fingertips, so that you are constantly referring back to it. As a matter of fact, when you are finished with this assignment, I'm going to tell you that you're probably going to want to print the assignment out so that you have a copy of yourself. Especially, don't do this until I've given you any potential corrections, but have it available for you with those corrections, so that while you're answering questions throughout the term, you can have something to refer to. It's going to be very helpful. Now, where are you going to find all this information? Well, that's a very good question. So let me go back to the classroom. And you're going to be getting all this information from your digital textbook. Now, last week, week 1, that is, we looked at consequential reasoning. And this week, we're looking at non-consequential reasoning, which is like divine theory, Kantian theory, as well as virtue ethics this week. We're also going to look at virtue ethics. So here is our virtual textbook right here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go down, you're going to look at chapters 1, well, mostly chapters 2 and chapters 3 for this assignment. So if we, I'm going to open this in a new tab so we have it correctly. So this is chapter 2 on consequential reasoning, and it discusses everything from psychological egoism to ethical egoism and utilitarianism, which are the two major forms of consequential reasoning we're going to be examining in this class. When you look at utilitarianism and when you look at ethical egoism, you want to compare it. So you want to be able to give me a fairly good definition of psychological egoism versus ethical egoism, and a good distinction between act utilitarianism and rule utilitarianism, both of which, all of these ideas I'll be discussing in a seminar throughout the terms as well. Now, at the end of each section, they give you an idea what it's about. They give you an idea of how it's broken down. For example, ethical egoism, we can look at individual egoism, personal egoism, and universal egoism. And it tells you the problems with these as well as the strengths. So you're going to want to take good notes. Matter of fact, I would fill this chart out as you're doing your reading. I really would. It's going to save you a lot of time, effort, and grief if you just take a lot of time in the first 2 units to really go over this reading carefully. All right. Talks about all the different problems, inconsistency in this particular case, difficulty in giving moral advice, blurring between non-morals and morals thoughts, so on and so forth. But if you look at the end of the chapter, and this is not a good place just to jump to, but the end of the chapter gives you really a nice summary of the different forms, and I highly suggest that read these chapter summaries first and then read the chapter, because the chapter summary gives you a really good roadmap of what you're going to be looking at throughout the week. Okay, so this summary though for chapters 1 and chapters 2 is going to be really very, very helpful as you look at care ethics, utilitarianism, and egoism. Okay, and the next chapter is going to look at non-consequential reasoning, and that's chapter 3. And then we also have a chapter on virtue ethics. Let me go back here real quick. There you go, virtue ethics. So you're going to want to look at virtue ethics as well. So technically, for this assignment, you're really looking at chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4. Chapter 2 was covered during Unit 1, okay? So that's where you find a lot of the information for this assignment. I highly suggest that with this assignment, if you're defining something, for example, let's go to the top here. If you're saying that one of the weaknesses of egoism is that universal egoists say that everyone ought to act in his or her own self-interest, what do you mean by everyone? And is self-interest always the same? Is my self-interest the same as your self-interest? Well, if that's going to be something you are going to be including, don't forget, and let me just bring up this this is a kind of a scratch sheet I have for myself. Don't forget to cite this information. So problem is remember that find where this page number is. This is page number 34. You want that information when you're taking your notes. So when you cite this information on the textbook. Let me bring my scratch pad out of here real quick. When you cite this particular information, you are going to want to make sure that you have everything you need. So this is, and I like to keep a cheat sheet next to me, but in this case we get the author's name, and all this information and help on how to cite well you can find at the top of every discussion in this class. So we need the author's last name, both of them, not just one, and we need the last copyright information. This is 2015, and the page number. And then we follow all this with the final punctuation after the citation. Okay, so when you take notes, make sure you include all of this on the side. The more you include all this information, then you don't have to go back into your textbook to find it. Okay, so when you take notes, have a scrap piece of paper, or you can actually use the tools that this virtual textbook gives you to keep notes. I like keeping notes on a Word document, or this is a text program, so that I have it right next to me as I'm doing my reading. Okay, so let's go back into the classroom. Oops, there we are. So basically that's what we're doing for Unit 2, but I highly suggest that you start this assignment in Unit 1. I know there's a lot of information going on in Unit 1, but if you do this assignment in the beginning of Unit 1, by the time you get to this assignment in Unit 2, it won't be so overwhelming. And the good news is this, This is one of the hardest assignments in the class, and you're going to get it done and over with fast. Isn't that terrific? I think that's terrific because I tell you what, by the end of the term, we're all tired. So let's get the hard stuff out of the way early on. And if you have any questions about the ethical terms, what they mean, what you're reading, if you don't understand how the textbook is laid out, any of that, remember you need to email me because I am here to facilitate your success. That's why they pay me the big bucks, guys. So don't forget to email me at rebecca.mccarthy@kaplan.edu. Thanks and have a terrific day. Goodbye.